Hi, I'm Coach Rob Wilby from Team Oxygen Addict, and the next question we've had has been regarding functional threshold. Now, it's a general question, this one. What is functional threshold and how do we measure it, essentially? So the first thing we've got to talk about is the best way and the most accurate way to measure your functional threshold power is obviously to own a power meter. If you've got a power meter, the measurement becomes really simple. We can talk about a 20-minute functional threshold test that you can do, and that will allow us then to firstly give you a number that represents the amount of power you could reasonably sustain for a 1 hour race duration. That's what we call your functional threshold power number. And from there, we can work out a range of zones that are appropriate for you to train in order to specifically target different types of fitness to help specifically raise those fitness levels for the different kinds of challenges you might face on race day and for the different kinds of distances you might be racing over. Now, all that's fine, but you might be wondering, what do I do if I haven't got a power meter, I can't afford one, or I simply don't want to buy one? Well, the answer is you can find a really good proxy for this by using a heart rate monitor. Again, we do the same kind of test. We'd look for a 20-minute time trial on the bike or on the run wearing a heart rate monitor. And afterwards, what we do is we look at the heart rate trace by downloading it into analysis software like Training Peaks software. And what you'll find is that the heart rate curve gradually increases and then it levels out. And that point where the heart rate plateaus is the number that we're going to use for your functional threshold heart rate. Now again, that number tells us pretty much that's the level you're going to be able to sustain for an hour in a race situation, but it also, more importantly, allows us to divide up that number by percentages and work out 4 or 5 different zones for training in, so that you know that, for example, when you're going out to do an endurance ride or an endurance run, you can be doing that in the appropriate heart rate zone, or at the other end of the spectrum, when you're doing the really hard efforts, you can be sure that you're pushing yourself right to the maximum and get a good measure of how hard you're actually working. Now, can you do all this without a power meter and without a heart rate monitor? Of course you can. Athletes have been really successful for years and decades without any of this information, but my advice to you would be this. If you're a newbie to the sport, you can essentially buy yourself that knowledge and buy yourself that experience by having a heart rate monitor, or even better, by having a power meter. And by looking at those numbers as you're training and racing, you can get a really good measurement for whereabouts you are on the intensity scale, and you can make sure that the training you're doing is as accurate as it possibly can be to get you the most bang for your buck in terms of training and racing. Hope this has been useful for you. We look forward to getting some more of your questions and answering them again soon. Cheers now.